days. They took us down to Brussels to start our trip back to England, and that was late on the day of the invasion across Iran. They took us into an armory where the cavalry had practiced, and the floor of the armory was covered with double-decker bunks. And it looked like the whole 8th Air Force had been shot down. Every bunk had somebody in it, a lot of people with bandages and so forth. What was that? Well, someone dreamed up the notion that when the troops landed, when the airborne people went in and landed, they would need a lot of supply immediately. And they came up with a great idea that we'll load it in B-24s and we'll send them over, are you ready, at 500 feet, which they did. And the B-24s dropped those loads for those paratroopers, and in the process they lost 12 B-24s and 120 men. So late in the war, it could still get very dicey. I think one of the things to take away is that when you talk about people's experience in something like the 8th Air Force, it's as if it comes in stages. It kind of moves along, and we don't have the same experience. We have rather different experiences. And yet, a lot of those experiences are totally memorable. Now, remember I told you that we had no idea who the spot jammer was. And so I want you to get acquainted with him. 63 years later, the pilot gets the following letter. Dear Charlie, do you remember me? Probably not much. I'm the guy who flew with you as a radar jammer operator on the mission where the plane caught fire and you made a crash landing just outside Cannes, Belgium, in March of '45. For years, I thought I would like to thank you for getting us safely on the ground after that ordeal. If we hadn't made it, I would have missed a lot of wonderful life. My wife and I were married on July 21st, '45, 3 weeks after I returned. We had 62 years together, 4 daughters, 9 grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, and even 1 great-great-grandson. I sincerely hope this reaches you. I'm going on 89 years and have no computer, hence the terrible penmanship. With sincerest thanks, Oral Suiso. Well, Oral Suiso is right here in the history book. He came over with a crew that subsequently had an airplane called Stardust. And if you think our story, you may feel the story was a little interesting today. You haven't lived until you've seen the story of Stardust. And he apparently was taken off that crew and sent to become a spot jammer. He flew subsequently, as we all did. But he flew the last mission to Prague on April 25th when the 8th Air Force was stood down. So, I only got one other thing one other thing I want to read to you. Except to say, parenthetically, that during the Iraq War, I noticed that people kept saying, well, if they're bombing these targets in Iraq, how come they miss? Well, in our period, the question was, how the devil did you hit that? And I've got a couple of spread photos here, which will give you a sense that yes, you can miss, and yes, you can hit, which is sort of how it went. It was sort of hit or miss. Anyway, I just want to read this to you because when I came across it, I really had to smile. This is a marvelous book, by the way. It's called The Air War Europa, a chronology from 42 to 45 for the 8th Air Force. It gives you a summary of the communique issued that day every day for that period. So, we look up March 22. And where are we from? Well, March 22. It says 450 1st Air Division B-17s and 289 3rd Air Division B-17s attacked 10 German Army bases and encampments. 325 2nd Air Division B-24s attacked 3 German Air Force air drones. 208 3rd Air Division B-17s attacked 2 German air drones, and 21 heavy bombers attacked secondary targets and targets of opportunity. 1 B-17 and 3 of the Fighter Scouts escorts were lost. Guess who won the prize?